Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. All right. Man, um, I love and appreciate you all. We are growing powerfully, surging powerfully forward, right? Establishing, firmly cementing our new high vibrational frequency paradigm. And we doing that all together. So please take a bow. True indeed, man. And thank you. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for helping to continue to build the worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Please continue to like, share, subscribe. Check me out on all the platforms. When you come to my YouTube channel, check out the community section. Very important, specific, and unique information there. Please make sure, again, that you check me out on all the different platforms. Especially make sure that you go to my Rumble channel. Please check out my content on Rumble. All right, folks. This is a cool video, right? I would say a cool, fun, and profoundly interesting video, right? I'm gonna call this "A Little Birdie Told Me." A little birdie told me some things to come in the near future, very near future, starting with 2024. All right, I got a little list for y'all. First of all, number one, an end to open attacks against the masses. What am I talking about? I'm talking about things like chemtrails, right? Right out in the open, right in front of our face. Harmful, toxic, uh, many calcification agents calcifying our pineals. Folks, right out in the open, got to stop that. All of the toxins and the nefarious chemicals that we're finding in our water supply, right? That must stop. The same thing goes for our food supply. All of those things must stop. Number two, resolution of current conflicts and no more wars, right? Folks, we're starting to see steps toward peace in the current conflicts, both the um, Russian-Ukraine conflict and the Israeli Palestinian conflict, excuse me, um, and the tensions over there in the Middle East. Um, we're seeing steps that those steps will turn into gates, right? What's the word I'm looking for? Long strides, right? Toward peace. And we will eventually see, again, resolution to these conflicts and no more wars. All right, number three, extreme healthcare reform. What do I mean by extreme, folks? It's coming out more and more, right? Um, how the uh, uh, big pharmaceutical industry got to be what it is today, and its ties to uh, the fossil fuel industry. Shout out to Yaki Awaken, um, young brother. Recently, I saw a video he did, powerful, dropping some very uh, very powerful, extremely vitally important information about John D. Rockefeller and his involvement in the beginnings of what we now recognize as big pharma, right? Um, and I say that, folks, because the future of healthcare is actually in physics. And yes, the science is already out there and growing more and more every day, where we're using sonics and other applications of physics in healthcare and finding and having and starting to see solutions and remedies and results that some would qualify as near miraculous, right? Um, the future of healthcare is in physics, not in chemistry. All right. Number four, reform of criminal law, the criminal law system, in particular the penal system, folks. These mandatory minimums that we've had on the books, um, and, and and they vary so greatly from state to state and even municipality to municipality on the local level. There's first of all, we live under so many laws, right? Thousands and thousands of laws, most of which the average quote unquote citizen, right, knows nothing about. The average person knows nothing about probably 70% or better of the laws of which they're governed under. That is not something that is helpful moving forward in establishing a new high vibrational frequency paradigm. And again, like mandatory minimums that are attached to crimes and worded in ways that are archaic and that we've seen don't deliver the hoped for or promised results that were given to us when they were first installed, right? Also, private prisons. Think about it, folks. The owners of private prisons do better when there's more people in prisons. Hmm. Well, in order for there to be more people in prisons, there's got to be more people breaking laws, committing crimes against one another. See how they're using us, the masses, sitting back and watching us, putting us in socioeconomic situations that would foster crime and then profiting off of when they come and lock us up. Even the private industries, where more and more things, more and more products are being produced out of jails. There's actual industries that are popping up associated with the penal system in these private institutions. Folks, again, just more and more uh, um, more and more reasons and more investment into a system that we already see is broken, right? And the private prisons and these new prison industries are only adding to the problem, in my opinion, and not good ideas moving forward. We need massive reform in our penal system. Um, Number five, mental health care reform. Folks, the treatment mental that folks in mental health facilities receive by and large is below humane standards. The conditions, just in the cleanliness of these places, is often substandard. The violence that is inflicted, direct violence that is inflicted upon the folks there, is truly unacceptable. The forcing of medications, just the concept, if we think about it, forcing people, literally using physical force to cause someone either to ingest the medication or forcibly injecting it into them, which is probably the more uh, common practice. Even conceptually is wrong and certainly is not um, not in observation of that person's human rights, right? Their inalienable rights that they are born with. Um, you can be proclaimed combative, not having committed any crime whatsoever. You can be proclaimed combative in a hospital emergency room and end up in a psych ward under a quote unquote 302, and it could potentially be the end of your time in society, quite literally. Because if you get on these heavy psychoactive drugs, you can virtually end up a vegetable or someone who goes into a psychotic state that they never recover from. So, major reform needed there. Also, number six, major political reform, right? Folks, we must see some things go by the wayside. There is no quantitative, valuable benefit, right, um, to the way that our political system currently works, and specifically things like the electoral college, right? Got to get rid of that. Um, we don't need to be locked into a two-party system. We have seen that does not work, right? We need to have an open party system where there are many, many parties or none, right? Either no political parties or many, many political parties is the way to go, in my opinion. And that opinion is shared by many. And we certainly see and have had decades and decades, if not centuries, of seeing failure of the political parties, of the two party political system in this country. Certainly that's got to change. Um, we've got to make sure that we're not seeing any more voter suppression, right? Because that's when you're one of the most extreme examples of implementation of an agenda on the masses, and interfering in their participation in the political system. Um, we need to see the actual popular vote not only applied to more things, but for it to carry true weight, right? Um, Something that might be really beneficial to us would be to see a third party president, perhaps even in this 2024 election. That's a very interesting potential, um, that I think might end up being very beneficial for us. All right, keeping it moving. Number seven, um, we're going to see much, much more um, resident community slash citizen, or just um, general uh, average folks organizing more and more, forming groups more and more. And I'm not just talking about militias, folks, right? I'm talking about uh, groups to organizing into groups to look out for ourselves, right? To help each other out. Um, we're more co-ops, more cooperative efforts in community farming, right? Um, more community care groups and uh, uh, local organizations where we help each other, even with things like childcare, right? Anything that affects our average everyday Monday life, we need to be forming more and more groups and organizations to help ourselves and to be more autonomous and not necessarily need to rely on government organizations or or corporate support of any nature, right? We need to be more autonomous and self-sustaining, and a great way to do that is by organizing into more and more groups, and we'll see that. All right, keeping it moving. Number eight, major education reform. right? We've got to have this. I've spoken about some of the uh, few non-traditional schools that are popping up and that are um, starting to gain a little bit more popularity and certainly need our support. Um, Schools that focus more individually on the children and their quote unquote educational training, right? Um, that focus on the strengths of each student and the talents, the individual talents and unique gifts of each student, and not um, forcing them into a cookie cutter system where each child must be forced into the same exact um, educational experience when in fact they are incredibly unique and individual and should be receiving an educational experience that is reflective of that. No more of the um, thinking in our educational system or the sort of the operating standard of we want to produce a nation of workers, not thinkers. Like we got to get away from that. That's what the old paradigm was about. We need a new generation of critical thinkers, of pathological thinkers, of deep thinkers, of people who don't get caught up in emotional reactionary responses to surface issues, but who do pathological thinking and come up with thoughtful solutions that actually yield real results, right? Um, Number nine, we need to have many, and we'll see many, many more celebrities break away from the cabal and that agenda, right? And start to um, you know, first of all, many of them are in a position where they know some things that we may not, right? And have seen some things that many of us have not. We need to have them start to come forward and be open in that. We need to have some form or system of a whistleblower or whistleblower like protection system for them, right? We need to support these folks as they break away, knowing that if we don't, then certainly there's an old paradigm like system where they would face um, grave repercussions for coming forward. We need to break that away, right, and make it viable for them to do so. Um, Number 10, healing and bridging the divide between men and women. We've seen the relationships between men and women strained heavily, right? And the divide between men and women is sort of the battle of the sexes gone far, far out of control and yield results that have been devastating, you could say, actually, to toward um, the breakdown of the family structure and all of the different ways that men and women could potentially be supporting each other and need to be supporting each other, working together as parents, whether they're together in a relationship or not, and just generally